Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. So welcome to the next episode of Read and Relax 2026, organized by UTM Library, that celebrates reading, learning, and explores meaningful conversations through books. My name is Wan Nurathirah binti Wan Ahmad, and I'm a host for today's session. I'm from a PhD student from Faculty Built Environment and Surveying, FABU. So I hope you guys will enjoy today's sessions, whether you are from office or you listening from home or even somewhere on campus. And thank you so much for spending your time with us today. In today's episode, we'll be learning about two fascinating books that explore two different perspectives on personal growth. One is about understanding the people around us, and another one is how to understanding our subconscious mind. So without further ado, let us begin with our first panel, which is Mr. Suhaimi. Welcome, Mr. Suhaimi.
Hello, hi.
Hello. So Mr. Suhaimi bin Samad is basically a PhD student from Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities. So today, Mr. Suhaimi will be sharing us with the book titled Susahnya Hidup Dengan Manusia by Akif Basri and Asim Hatta. To begin our session, could you, Mr. Suhaimi, briefly introduce the book with us today?
All right, sure. So first and foremost, thank you very much for inviting us for today's session. And thank you, moderator. So my name is Mohamad Suhaimi bin Samad. I am a psychology officer, special education needs therapist, and also currently pursuing PhD or PhD candidate from Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities. So currently I'm in my second year, and today I will be reviewing a book entitled Susahnya Hidup Dengan Manusia, basically a psychological based book written by clinical psychologist Dr. Akif Basri and also Asim Nasir.
Oh, okay. So, Mr. Suhaimi, can you explain why you choose this book to share with us today for this session?
All right, thank you very much for the question. Actually, in regards to my background, which is psychology, right? So I picked this book because I always interested in understanding human behavior. Basically, the psychology itself defined as understanding the mental processes and also human behavior. So this book is all about understanding the human behavior, written by the psychology practitioner also, which is Dr. Akif Basri, clinical psychologist, and also Mr. Asim Nasir. So basically, this book is all about understanding why is it difficult to deal with people. So rather than we are assuming or judging person at the first place, so these books are actually explaining we need to understand the reason behind it, the underlying cause of why certain people reacting or act on certain action. So basically, that's why I picked this book and it relates to my background.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Suhaimi, for the introduction of the book. Then we go to our second panel, which is Miss Nur Afiqah binti Ismail, also a PhD student for Faculty Built Environment and Surveying, and also a research assistant at CIPD. So today she will be discussing about the power of the power of your subconscious mind. And welcome, Miss Afiqah. Can you give some introduction of the book you choose?
Okay, Assalamualaikum and hi. Thank you to Miss Atira, Miss Moderator, for today's session. So first things first, I would like to thank the UTM Library for the invitation for today's session. I believe that today we are going to have a meaningful discussion and to explore the wealth of knowledge through book readings. So basically, today's session is very much important to us and to all of us. So for today's book review, I'm choosing The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. So just now, Mr. Suhaimi maybe will be sharing more about human behavior about other people. But for my topic for today, or the book that I'm choosing, is about ourselves, how we can control our subconscious mind in order to interpret our behavior, how we act, and many more. So basically, I think that today's book review are very quite related actually. So yeah, I hope that so today I hope we can have some good sharing session.
Okay, so one question for Miss Afiqah. Based on the book, what concept actually that resonated with you the most?
Okay, thank you, Miss Atira. So actually, in anything that we do is related to our perspective, especially in the Islamic perspective. So the power of your subconscious mind actually related to the way we think, our thought, our beliefs, and our behavior. So basically, in this book, the writer Joseph Murphy explains about what we are thinking or what we thought is actually will show our beliefs. Then these beliefs will gradually show our acts, which means our actions and so on. So in Islamic perspective, we can relate this with the concept of husnuzan actually. Yeah. So you know, right? In Islam, in when we instill the husnuzan in our heart, in our mind, actually, husnuzan is something that we have to think in a positive way. What might happen in the future? We have to believe towards Allah that something good is going to happen. Same to the concept by Joseph Murphy, where we have to think positive. We have to have constructive thoughts in order to achieve something in our life, especially in our career, in our anything in our education
In
and
our
so
daily
on. Yeah, in our daily life. So basically, Joseph Murphy also shared few techniques, and also he also talked about the visualization and also positive affirmation through the process, same as in Islam also, right? Where we have to, other than just tawakkal, other than just thinking, we also have to put effort. We have to do something, prayers and so on, in order to achieve something. And at last, it's going to be a tawakal. Tawakal means we berserah lah kan, berserah kepada Allah. So basically, the concept is almost like, if we want to understand better in Islamic perspective, is the husnuzan concept. But for Joseph Murphy, he taught us to instill, to think positive, because at the end, what we think will show how we act through our behavior and also our actions.
Okay. It's actually a great point, because how you relate the books that resonate with Islam, and we are Muslim itself, that we learn how to husnuzan and tawakal to Allah. So it is a great point, Miss Afiqah. Thank you for the sharing. And next, question for Mr. Suhaimi. So I would like to know, what is the biggest lesson you have learned so far based on the book that you have read?
All right. Thank you very much for the question. But before that, I do agree with another panel that said about the psychological element in the book. So for my book that I have reviewed, actually is all about understanding why certain people behaving that way. So basically, in this particular book, the main point is the writer want the reader to understand on how to understand a difficult person or how to deal with, and also how to keep our emotion from being affected by certain particular people that we call as harder person. So basically, so for this book, the biggest lesson is about on how we cannot control other people's behavior,
Yes.
and instead we need to control our reaction or our response towards the other person or people around us. So basically, this book taught us that in any particular situation, we cannot simply control other people behavior or action toward us because it's them. We totally cannot change their personality, because behind the personality itself, there are many factors that can affect their personality, such as their childhood background, parenting style, and also maybe certain traumatized condition. So in this particular book, the writer tried to teach us on how to manage our emotion or strategically dealing with this particular person.
Okay. So basically based on the book that you read,
Yeah.
is there any specific chapter or story or even quotation
All right.
that you've been keep thinking even after you finish the book?
Okay, thank you. That is actually very nice question. So basically, in this book, what I love about this book is the author or the writer actually organized the chapters very nicely and organized well, because the writers actually put the situation first that relate to our daily life, and then include the psychological theory, which is a certain theory that can relate with this particular situation, and also put some strategy or maybe intervention that we can do as a normal human being, which is layman also can understand, to deal with this difficult person. So basically, I really like the chapter, which situation number 2, which a narcissistic person. Are you aware about narcissistic
Yeah, I
person?
do aware of narcissistic person.
So basically, I recently I know that many or most people maybe once in their life having time to deal with this particular person. So basically, in this book, in a chapter which specifically focus on narcissistic traits, the author tries to implement the strategical way on how to deal with this particular person. So basically, can I move on?
Yes.
So basically, in this book, the writer give a sample of situation which a particular person, namely Farid, need to deal with her senior, who always think that he is right, namely Amir. So basically, Amir is a person who have a certain characteristic of narcissistic traits, and I need to remind that narcissistic traits is actually different with person who has narcissistic personality disorder. Do you know about that?
No, I thought it's just one thing.
All right. So basically, people know and easily to categorize a person who have these traits as narcissist, right? But actually, we cannot call a person a narcissist until the person has been diagnosed by clinical practitioner, such as clinical psychologist or psychiatric doctor. So basically, in this chapter, Farid is actually a junior or newbie during his undergrad years. So he actually the first stage he admires the person who called narcissist, right? So basically, Amir, right? Amir is actually a good person. He always lend people help. He always portrays a good characters and always leading the clubs or organization. But as time goes by, as time flies, Farid actually noticed something about Amir. So Amir actually portrays a certain characteristic of narcissist. Sometimes Amir needs agreements from other peoples. When people start to have a disagreement or argument, he cannot accept that. That is the major red flag of a person who have narcissistic traits. So as time goes by, the red flags are always appear. So Farid has the difficulties to go out from this circle or environment. So basically, the writer gives some strategical point. Especially, there is a one point we call it as a gray rock method. Do you know about it?
No,
Gray rock
it's
method.
my first time.
So, as for a person who have a narcissistic traits, gray rock method is usually suggested to deal with this particular person, which the good intervention for this particular person is ignore. Okay, ignore, because the more you give attention, the more you give reaction, the more harder you have to deal with this particular person.
Okay.
All right. So basically, the major reason why I love this chapter is like we always have and I mean once in our life we will be encountering this particular person. So we need the technique to encounter or deal with this person.
Okay, it's a very good point, and actually a good lesson learned lah by
Yeah,
us today, because and also by a student that hear our podcast today, because I think for like Mr. Suhaimi said, once in a lifetime we'll be encounter a very
Yes.
narcissistic person. So it is a good technique that actually we can learn to deal with the problem.
Yeah.
So next I would like to ask Miss Afiqah, for the book The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, if 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 someone were reading it for the first time, okay, like for me, okay, so what advice that you would give to me, or for the someone that happen to read it for the first time?
Okay, so for me, actually, if I love reading book, but for some book, I would not read all of them, all of the pages. I mean, from cover to cover. But sometimes when I have no time, I'll just pick up some chapters from the books. So the most the most interesting chapter for me is chapter 2. If you were reading this book, the title is How Your Mind Works. So do you know how your mind works in general?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really.
Not
Okay.
really.
So okay, I'm just focusing on towards our mind, the subconscious mind. Okay. So as we know that in this book we're talking more about subconscious mind, but do you know that we actually have conscious and also subconscious mind, right?
Yes.
Maybe Mr. Saimi know more about this because it's more towards psychology. So I'm just going to share based on my understanding. So when do you think, okay, I would to ask Miss Atira lah, when do you think that you use your subconscious mind the most?
I'm not sure, maybe when I was asleep.
Okay,
Okay.
I said yes, okay. Maybe Mr. Saimi?
Maybe during my daydreaming phase.
Daydreaming phase. Yeah, usually like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would like to give a very simple example. When do we use our subconscious mind? Maybe especially during driving the car, you know, when you
Yes,
about to when you see the car in front of you, you were subconsciously hit
avoid.
the brake.
Oh,
You know,
Yes.
that's when your subconscious mind work. Or for many people, maybe when we pick up our phone and then we automatically scroll through the WhatsApp, Instagram, or TikTok, that is when our subconscious mind work without we consciously decided to do it. Because sometimes we know, right, when we pick up our phone, we automatically tap on the TikTok or Instagram, and then we just scroll anything without as we know that time we have a lot of things to do, but subconsciously we just go through the Instagram or
Yes.
TikTok, and then you see the time pass by and so on, right? Okay, so in this chapter, okay, I would like to share that actually the subconscious mind is like a storehouse where we accept repeated ideas, where that is where our belief is stored, our thought is stored, and so on. For subconscious mind, for conscious mind, that is where we use to do reason. That is where it shows our actions, where we consciously we know that we are doing it. For example, I want to take that glass. I will just go. That's how my conscious mind work. But for subconscious mind, for example, if we walk along the hallway that we used to walk every day, while looking at the phone, we already know what are in front of us without looking in front. You know
Oh,
what I'm saying, right?
Okay, I understand.
So that is the difference between the conscious and also the subconscious mind. So that is why our subconscious mind is a very very powerful, because it will reflect our behavior, or it will reflect our actions. So that's why even when we're asleep, just now that you guys talk about sleeping, right? Doing daydreaming, actually our subconscious mind is still working. They accept everything that we that we are thinking during our sleep as well. So even there is one hadith that Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that our actions is judged by our intentions, right? Apa-apa yang kita buat adalah bergantung kepada niat kita. So what we think, we get what we think of. So that is what I can relate with through the to that Islamic perspective. So just now Mr. Suhaimi just mentioned about that we cannot control other people's behavior, right? So I would like to share this one quote that I think is very much easy to understand, which is your thoughts can change your destiny.
Nice.
Do you get it?
It's
Yeah,
a
your
nice,
thoughts
it's a
can
nice
change your
quote.
destiny.
Nice
For
quotes.
example, if you think you can, yes, actually you can. If you
Yeah.
keep thinking a negative thought or when you always have that kind of negative thinking, you are actually pulling yourself down. You are not believe in yourself. So I think actually that is one of the motivation that you can actually put inside your mind from now on. If you think that you cannot do it, you can actually. And I would like to also relate with one ayat Quran, one verse of from the Quran where Mr. Swami said that we cannot change other people's behavior. What we can change is actually ourselves. Am I right?
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, so there is one verse in the Quran, Surah Arad, Surah 13, verse 11, where indeed Allah will not change the situation of a people unless they change what is in themselves. Okay, so this verse highlights that we only ourselves can change what we want it to be on how it turns out. For example, if you want to move from one place to one place, you cannot just think, oh, I want to go there. But how? What you should do? You should wake up and then you should walk. Or for example, if you want to move a ball from one place to another place, so you have to push the ball. If you wait, of course, you still can make the ball move, but you have to wait for the wind to come. But in this case, about ourselves, if we want to change about something in our life, we first have to change ourselves, which is comes from our mind.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So that is something that I would like someone who is going to read this book. I would like to suggest maybe that one part of the book and also the quote just now, which is your thoughts can change your destiny.
Yes.
It is
Kind of agree.
Yes, it is a very beautiful quote that your thoughts can change your destiny because me personally, I'm sometimes having struggle with myself, especially we are the students, right? And doing a postgraduate studies like PhD is very difficult for us as we are sometimes feel very lonely
Yes.
with our journey.
Yeah.
So by hearing that quote and I think it kind of changed my uh how I'm thinking about my journey. So thank you so much, Ms. Afiqah. And next question is to Mr. Suhaimi. So, who would you recommend to read this book, and why do you think they will benefit from reading this book?
All right. Thank you very much for the particular question. So, who would I recommend is actually this book is for all people,
Okay.
for all generation. The students itself, we are dealing with people every day, right? And also, this book is also for different kind of generation, whether Gen Z, Millennial, Gen Alpha, who always can relate with their life. Because this book taught me important elements that we have to know. So as for today, I believe that emotional intelligence is as important as academic intelligence, right? So because if you don't have your a good EQ, you maybe incapable of dealing with people nicely, and at the end of the day, your life will be affected, right?
Okay.
So in this book, actually taught me on how to improve my emotional intelligence, which is EQ. So basically, particularly, I would pick my favorite chapter, which is the situation between Farid and Amir, right?
Yes.
About the narcissistic characteristic. So basically, this book taught me on setting healthy boundaries towards people, because sometimes people are afraid of saying no, correct?
Yes.
People are afraid of saying no because they have the urge to oblige and become a people pleaser, or we can call it as a yes man culture. So basically, this book taught me on how to say no properly. I mean, like, we can be assertive. We can convey to a particular person that, no, I cannot do that, but I can offer you another hug, maybe. So we also can say no. Not everything we need to say yes to other people, because it sometimes will drain you, and it will drain and take your energy from inside. Second part is this book actually teach me on to reduce unnecessary interaction with this difficult person, because every day we need to interact with people, right? So basically, we need to differentiate necessary and unnecessary interaction. Sometimes we need to choose a healthy communication with people, because if we stuck in circle or loop that give negative vibes, like the second panel just say like that before this, we will be drained and our energy will be taken by them. The more you give, the more they want actually. So basically, we need to set certain boundaries on not entertaining negative vibes interaction. And then the third one is we can communicate assertively. So basically, assertive is you communicate your opinion or express your opinion in a positive way without putting your emotion inside it. So basically, you can try to communicate with people, try to understand me. The quote is try to understand me the way I want, but in a proper or nicest way, basically. And the last one is we need to gatekeep and prioritize our emotional well-being. I bet that this topic is actually currently hot among the Gen Z, right?
Yes.
Because Gen Zs always prioritize their mental well-being. So basically, I do agree with that. We need to keep our emotional well-being, and we cannot let others to trespass our level of peace and calm, because we, at the end of the day, have our own self.
Yes.
So we need to take care of ourselves first
Yes.
before we try to offer help for somebody else. All right.
So it is very true. Me as a Gen Z myself, I really agree with the terms that protect yourself first, protect your peace first, rather than to help others before you can help others. Because at the end of the day, you just got yourself, and if you and sometimes when we protecting our peace, we tend to lose some friends.
Yes.
Yes.
I do
So
understand.
what is your opinion about that?
For me,
Yes.
take care of yourself first, because if you cannot take care of yourself, then how you are going to create a more positive environment for you? So basically, you have the option. You can choose, you may choose, because the decision is yours and that is your life. So basically, you are responsible to make sure that you are in a good situation or good environment.
Okay. So I think it can relate with how we can control ourselves. And back to Miss Afiqah, because sometimes when we are protecting our peace and we lose our friends, it gets us sad, becomes sad. So how we can cope with that?
With the sadness, or
Yes, with the
okay, with the
sadness.
sadness. Actually, in this world, we're not alone. You know, even though we lose one friend, there will be another better friend will come into your life. So
Yeah.
just believe in that, because, yeah, if I want to relate into the Islamic perspective again, is that Allah will replace it with something better. If you lose one thing, maybe it is good. Maybe you think that it's good for you, but actually, from Allah, it's not good for you. So that's why He takes them away from you. So you just have to believe that something good is coming, will come into your life. So you can be sad, but not to be sad for a long time. So yeah.
That's actually a good point.
Yes, it's actually the choices of books choose by the panels today is very good, as in is related to each other. And then I have one more question. I think two more question for Miss
Okay.
Afiqah. How has this book influenced you, the way you're thinking or approach in your daily life?
Okay, so actually, we know we have mind, right? But we, of course, maybe we don't learn about our brain, or maybe we're not a psychologist. So basically, we forgot. We don't know how our mind works. So after reading this book, actually, it it kind of changing my life like a little bit, not a really big impact, but it gives like very much impact towards myself in my life, where actually our subconscious mind, my subconscious mind is very, very powerful. Where before this, maybe we scared of failure. I'm scared of failure. So maybe before this, I don't really believe in myself. But after reading this book, um, I feel like less scared of failure. I'm still scared of failure because I know the consequences that might happen, but less scared because I know that when, for example, I want to change to be a better person. So in order for me to change, to be a better person, I have to instill in my mind that, oh, I have to do this, to do that, instead of thinking that, oh no, I cannot do it. I know that people won't like it. Instead of thinking in a negative way, I have to do like a constructive thinking, just like how Joseph Murphy explains in his book, constructive thinking. Constructive thinking here means that instead of you focus on the problems, you have to focus on the solutions. Because when you keep on thinking towards the problems, it's actually just make the situation harder or the problems bigger. When you think or you look on towards the solution, it actually will help you to find ways on how you can improve yourself, on how you can find the way to get out of the problem. So for me, this book has give impact into my daily life, where every day, of course, we in Islam, like we always do prayers after salat and so on. So actually the prayers or the dua itself actually can affect our subconscious mind. Yeah.
It is a very good point actually, and I think like today's session a bit of more on self reflections, and of course this is actually very important as we as a student, not to students only but also to everyone, like Mr. Suhaimi said, to everyone that I think happens to face some circumstance in our daily life. So before we wrap up, I would like to ask one final questions. So based on today's books that explore two different perspectives, one teaches us about how to understand people, and another one is how to understand ourselves more. So in both of the panel's opinions, which one comes first? Do we need to understand ourselves first so that we can truly understand others? So yeah, we start with Mr. Suhaimi.
Okay, sure. Thank you for the question. All right. So for my opinion, I think we need to understand both actually. But understand yourself will come first.
Okay.
Literally, we need to understand ourselves first because every human has their own different traits and personalities. So how can you need to understand other people while yourself you cannot recognize very well, right? So basically, you need to give yourself some space to really knows and have a deep understanding about yourself. Actually, you need to ask, what am I? You need to understand your traits, your characters, your behavior, and your way of interaction with other peoples. Because if you are unable to recognize yourself, other people may cross that boundaries. So basically, I will opt for understand myself first. But in the other way, we also need to understand people because we cannot make some judgment at the first glance. We need to understand the underlying cause or reason. As for me, I'm a psychological officer, so I need to understand what happened behind a certain reason, what happened behind a certain act, or what is the reason why these people act or behave in a particular way. So basically, I relate a bit with the particular book. Basically, a person who have a narcissistic traits actually comes from many factors. They might be from the parental skill, and also maybe from lack of emotional support, or maybe a person who always loves for prize
Yes.
or encouragement for other people. There are a lots of factors that make someone becomes a someone.
Mm-mm.
So basically, after we try to understand, there is not a green flag for a person to tolerate. We may understand, but there is not a license for us to tolerate. Myself come first. Myself come first. I will try to set boundaries, and then later on, I will try to understand other people's condition.
Yeah, I think most of the people got confused with understanding people with and tolerating with them.
Yes.
Right.
There is a different things with understanding and tolerating.
Okay. Do you have any personal experiences from your studies journey that happened to you?
All right. So basically, of course, during our studies, we have many friends, right?
Yes.
We need to interact with lots of people. Sometimes supervisors, PhD colleague, and sometimes when we involve in club, we also need to deal with many people from
Yes.
different faculty, right? So basically, when something happens, or maybe in a negative way, we try to blame that particular person, right? Or in a Malay words, orang tu memang macam ni lah. Susah kita nak deal dengan dia kan. But somehow, I try to put myself first in his or her shoes. Why this person is behaving like this? Okay, I will think that first. And then if I has done my task to understand the characteristic of this particular person, and I also undergo some situation with this particular person, I will try to separate whether I need to tolerate or not. Because at the end of the day, I need to make sure that the job's done instead of tolerating with unnecessary drama. So basically, that is my point of view.
Okay.
All right.
So, Miss Afiqah, so how do you think? Which one comes first? Do we need to understand other people first, or do we need to understand ourselves first?
Okay, have you heard a quote on love yourself before you love other people?
Yes.
So I think I think that it's important for us to understand ourselves first, because how can we go out and communicate with other people if we don't understand ourselves first? I mean, like we have to like Mr. Suhaimi said just now, we have to prioritize ourselves, and then when it comes to other people, we need to learn on how to understand other people. But then, yeah, for example, if you want to teach someone as a teacher, for example, you are a teacher, if you want to teach someone or to transfer your knowledge to other people, of course, you have to make sure that you got the knowledge. You have to make sure that you know what you are going to teach towards the other person or to the students. So basically, I think that, yeah, we have to prioritize ourselves first. For example, same with me. Actually, I am still surrounded with many types or many kinds or many personalities of people, of friends. So yeah, some people might not go along with some friends. So yeah, I understand why.
Quite challenging.
Yeah, I understand why, and I can accept it. But for me, I would not cut off the people or the person, because I know why. Basically, I don't know why they're like that, but we have to understand that we are living in this world. We are not alone. We always will face this kind of situation. So we ourselves, we have to understand how we are going to deal with this kind of people. So when you first meet some people that you may not like, so you have to understand, you have to ask yourself why you don't like that person. And you shouldn't just go and cut off that person. You should understand them as well. First, you understand yourself. Why do I don't like that person? Then you have to understand, oh, maybe he or she is like that because of his family background, or maybe because of their past trauma or anything. So from there, we have to acknowledge that. We have to learn about them as well. And then we have to understand from our side, what should we do when we deal with this kind of people or person. So for me, you cannot just focus on yourself, because yeah, like I said just now, you're not living in this world alone. You will always face many many challenges outside in this world, in the real life world, where you will be working with many types of people, many personalities, and then you will study as well, like with different kind of people. So in the future, maybe the person that we don't like will help us compared to the person that we close or like the most. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So basically, for me, both is important to understand, which is ourselves and also other people. But most importantly, we have to really, really understand ourselves first, and then we understand others as well.
Okay, I think that includes from your experience as well, right? Your explanation, right? Okay, I think both of the opinions are really have a good points, and what we learned today is very new things. I think new things for the students that listening to us, and this is a good experience to read both of the books, and myself is a book reader. So this is why I love to read books, and I love to hear what others people's opinions, because I believe everyone have different opinions. So today have been a truly engaging conversation. So I hope our listeners today have gained new insights and perhaps even discover a new lessons to be learned, and new books that they can maybe discover later. So to everyone watching and listening, thank you so much for joining us today. For Relax and Read session 2026. If today's session sparked your curiosity, we encourage you to pick up these books and explore the idea of yourself. So after all, every book offers a different perspective. Every reader brings a unique interpretation. So I'm Wan Nurathirah Wan Ahmad on behalf of UTM Library. Thank you for tuning in. Until our next session, Read and Relax 2026. Take care, keep reading and keep learning. Assalamualaikum and goodbye.